Everything is rented. Your body, you don't just get a good body and you're done. You still have to go to the gym every day to maintain that good body. You don't just get a hot girl and it's done. You still have to work hard for her to always love you and respect you. You don't just start a business and now you're rich. No, you have to start a business and work on that business every day. If you take your eye off the business, it will fail. Everything in life is rented. So when he says glory is fleeting, he's also absolutely not correct, because glory is fleeting and you have to constantly and endlessly work for it and make sure that you never stop. Otherwise, it will be taken from you. But obscurity is forever. If you never make a mark on the world, then you effectively never existed.
Yeah.
And when you're gone, nobody will care. The reason our Father is discussed at length is because of who me and Tristan are. And the reason we will be discussed forever is because who our sons will become. And that's very important, because you have a duty to your ancestors and you have a duty to God. So you must make a choice. And this is genuine choice for you people at home. Do you want to live in obscurity forever and be invisible and not matter and have an easier life? I would argue that it's not easier, because in your heart and in your soul, you're going to feel guilty knowing you could have been something you're not, and you have a duty to your ancestors and to God to be the best version of yourself. Or do you want to try your absolute best and struggle and suffer every day of your life, paying the rent for all of the amazing things around you? We pay endless rent. We pay rent for our bodies. We pay rent for our relationships. We pay rent to keep our kids. We pay rent to keep our business. We pay rent to keep our freedom. Every single day is work to pay the rent. It's absolutely never ending, and you have to make that choice. So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, you need to decide. Do you want to be invisible with a lower rent bill, or do you want to be important and work hard and suffer to make sure that the rent is paid? It's a choice you must make, and it's binary, and you must be extremely dedicated towards the decision you finally make. How you have charisma firstly are some basics. One of the most basic things is honor. You must do what's right because it is your duty, and for that alone. Not because you benefit from it, not because you gain from it, because it is your duty. Tristan and I do many things to our detriment, like talk on the internet. We don't need money. We don't need to help you. We don't just save your life, to our detriment. But we believe it's our duty to educate people, because we understand we have a massive platform and a lot of young boys are looking up to us, and there's a lot we can teach.
And also, your word is your duty. I have said I'm not going to quit. I have said I'm going to keep talking. If I say something, I do it. So your word immediately becomes your duty. Never break your word and never go back on what you said.
Absolutely. Honoring your word is part of honor as a whole. That's the whole point of honoring your word. You have to know how to be reliable, dependable, and loyal. And most importantly, you can never stab anybody in the back. You can never be a snake, because one, I swear if you betray somebody and you're a snake, it's like a stench which follows you for the rest of your human years. Anybody who does business with me, and I've done business for 20, 30, 40 million dollars, will do it on a handshake. They don't care about the contract, because Andrew Tate shook their hand, and they can smell on me that I am not the kind of man who's going to snake them over money, because I've never done it. If I have ever snaked anyone over money, I would have some degree, my aura would change color and people would see it on me. You can't be a snake. You cannot stab people in the back. You can't do these things, especially in the masculine realm, because we have evolved to detect treachery. Please understand, the most disgusting thing in the masculine world is a traitor. We talk about it all the time, because treachery cannot be protected against. It's from the people you trust, which means it's always going to be a critical hit. It's always going to be extremely dangerous to you. So if you don't have the ability to detect snakes, you're going to end up in trouble in life. And I think men have evolved to be able to detect snakes. So when you do snakish things, something follows you and people see it. So as you're just finding yourselves as men, I understand I have a huge responsibility because of the massive platform I have. There's no doubt about it. I am the largest influencer in this space. I'm perhaps one of, if not the largest influencer on the planet today. And I have a massive responsibility to try my best to improve the world and teach people important things. And it's very difficult, as most of you men are just finding yourselves, trying to figure out what and who you should be in a culture with little to no proper guidance. If you remove me from the internet, you have a whole bunch of loudmouths who have not achieved anything amazing or remarkable in their real lives.
Who don't act in a respectful way.
Who have not had any real world achievements. There's a few people I can name who aren't like that, but we're generalizing. And then you have a largely matriarchal society and a matriarchal education system that you're beholden to. So who's teaching you to be a man? If you're fortunate enough to have a fantastic father, great. But if you don't, there are very little lessons, and there's basically no guidance out there explaining to you the self-accountability which is required to be a man. Everything we were just saying to you earlier about making the choice of being invisible or being highly important and paying the rent for one of those two choices. That's based around absolute and utter brutal self-accountability. You must accept the decision you want to make, and you must accept that everything is your fault. Everything is on your shoulders, regardless of what God throws at you.
Well, treachery carried the most harsh sentences in every single culture all around the world.
Let's talk about that.
And no, because like you said, you said this about male leadership. These cultures, the Ming Dynasty and the Aztecs, didn't meet each other. The Greeks, the Persians, the Samoans, the headhunters of Papua New Guinea. You could not be a traitor in any society ever without death. You have to kill the traitors. You must get rid of them. You must expel them completely from the world. Sentence for treachery was death. Always. In almost every single society. There's no way you could open the gates to the enemy. You could send messages to the enemy. You could give away your position as a military man.
If you're a traitor, look at the movie 300. Why do they lose? That traitor. No one respects traitors. And like you said, you made a fantastic point. In every single civilization since the dawn of time, the most heinous and disgusting torture methods and punishments were always for traitors.
Yeah, so all you could do,
high treason.
All you could do today is to expel them absolutely and utterly from your life. You cannot expel them from the world anymore because we live in a civilized society, but you need to have absolutely zero interaction with anyone who's ever betrayed you, even for a little bit. If someone steals $100 from you once, it doesn't matter.
Also, another thing that's very important, if you're hanging around with snakes, you're probably a snake yourself. Yeah. Because if you weren't a snake yourself, you'd have high-value friends. And the reason you can't have high-value friends is because they can smell you're a snake. So you end up having to hang around with snakes. If you become a better man and you stop putting anything above your honor, above your creed, above your respect to your ancestors and to your last name, you're going to have friends that do the exact same thing.